Thank you, Patricia. So I know everyone in here knows who I am. There's a few new faces on Zoom. So just so you know, my name is Mackenzie. I am an EA here at the KW Naples office for the Welcome Home team, Michelle and Steph. And really what I do on a day-to-day basis outside of transactions and client management is I do all of our marketing. So I do it for all of our events, for our 42 Touch, for all of our farm areas. I even do all of our listing presentations, our home welcome or open house flyers on there and on Canva and whatnot. So you could say that I've been using it for quite a while and I know all the inner workings of it. So today, really, we're going to go over two major things, which is the basics of using Canva on a day-to-day basis, like literally how to pull photos in from your listings, how to add in new text and whatnot, as well as like creating a template out with that, because everyone knows if you have to do it twice, there's a system for it. That's the ops speaking in me. So sorry for the agents in here, but that is the best way to think about it is if you're doing it twice, you have to create a system for it. And Canva is actually really useful for marketing in that very reason. So I am going to share a listing, a just listed thing that I made very recently. And this is what we're going to start to utilize for creating the template. So I'll show you everything in here has been used with a freemium version. So there's nothing in here that you have to pay for on a monthly basis. And yeah, this is where we'll go ahead and get started. Is there anything in particular that you guys wanted to cover besides creating a template or just using the basics behind it? Just the basics? Oh, thanks. Who is it? Oh, okay. No worries. So yeah, I've created 3 different versions here of what personally I would use as a just listed flyer. You can change all of these and make them look however you want them to and whatnot, but this is kind of what we're going to go over today. So I'm going to open up the homepage of Canva really quick. This is what everyone's homepage is going to look like once you have created an account. There's so many different options on here on what you can create. You're not limited to anything. And that's really the best part of the site itself. So you can search for content. This is typically what I do quite often. If I'm looking to create a mailer, right? So I would just simply type in the word mailer and then maybe real estate. And then you hit search. Apologize, Wi-Fi is a little slow today. And then it pulls up a bunch of already created options for you. So you have to put in as little work as humanly possible to create these. All you have to do is just customize it. So this is, first off, the best way to start creating any sort of mailer or any sort of marketing piece that's out there, whether if it's social media templates, like I said, flyers or mailers. You can even create presentations on here. The best way to do it is really by searching in the search box. I'll give you another example. I will do just listed. And you just saw it was just listed postcards. So you can see in here, these are tons of different options for what you all want to see for just listed flyers. Really, really helpful if you're like stuck in a creative rut. I have it all the time. So I find myself going to the search option all the time. On this side over where you see category, this is where you can filter it by the size of marketing material that you want it to be. So obviously an Instagram post that's going to be square is different than you want a flyer to look like in terms of size, as well as a postcard or even a magazine cover. So this is also a really great way to start filtering things out in terms of the product that you want to create. You can also select a style. So modern, minimalist, simple. There's tons of different options that you can pick from. And then themes. So obviously real estate is going to be a theme, business, marketing, etc. And then if you do have the freemium version, all you would do to filter out all of those paid options is select free. Super easy. I mean, you'll know what you have to pay for by these little dollar signs down here at the bottom. Down here at the bottom. But anything that is not going to be free doesn't have the dollar sign down there in the corner, and you know that you can easily utilize that. And lastly, a really great way to find something that you want to create is filtering it by color. what is KW? We're red. So if I want to find a just listed flyer that's going to be, of the red variety, I would select the red color. And then there you have options that already are loaded for KW's branding. So it's a really great tool just for creating ideas in general. We haven't even gotten to developing what you want the post to look like, but we're essentially already halfway there if I simply selected one of these options. Any questions on the homepage so far? Fantastic. Any questions on Zoom about the homepage so far? I'm going to move pretty quickly because the creating the content is going to take a while, just so you all know. So once we get back to the homepage, let's say we found what we're looking for, you also have the option to create a design from scratch. So if you know the size of the piece of social media that you're creating, you can simply select create design and select the correct size option. And then you'll come up, let's say, like I said, we are doing a simple flyer. You would click on the size that you want it to be, and then a blank screen will pop up for you. And then we enter in the Canva Design Studio. So this is really the bulk of what we'll be talking about today, is how to create the flyers itself. So we'll start off back over here on this page where I had showed you some designs that we'd already created, because this is the goal that we're trying to get to. Specifically, when we're talking about just listed, there's a few key aspects in there that we want to be including. And the first one is going to be just basically saying that it is just listed. That's really important because you don't want people to think that you just sold it or that's an open house invitation or anything like that. So make sure you include some sort of verbiage that says just listed, or, you know, whatever you want it to say up there, or available for rent, or whatever it is. So and then underneath that, I always make sure to include at least 4 major photos of the house. And I have a pretty good rule of thumb that I try and keep by it. I try and do the front of the house, the back of the house, the living room, and at least the master bedroom, as long as the master bedroom is pretty to look at, right? I mean, let's be honest, people only want to look at things that look nice. So if I think that the master bedroom isn't suiting, then I'll typically go with like a dining area or the kitchen or whatnot. But I try and stick with covering as much of the house as I possibly can in only 4 photos. You can obviously opt in to include as many photos as you possibly can. But I try and stick around 4 because also content about the house is really important as well. So I make sure to always include the price. This is random information. There's nothing in here. This isn't an actual listing of ours. It's just random information, but I always include the price. I try and always include the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and the square footage. Now, if you have a specific home in a specific area, let's say it's in Golden Gate Estates, or it's in Oaks Estates, or Pine Ridge Estates, right? Acreage is obviously going to be really important. So you could put a little acreage icon and then state that there. If it's an attached villa, then I'll probably include that in there if it's not a single family. If it's in a condo, what floor it's on, or the community name is also really important too. So it's based on your preference, what you think is most valuable for the home. This is obviously based off of a single family, and this is what I found to be most important at the end of the day. The next thing is obviously address. Super important, nice big front in the center. People can easily find the address. And then right underneath it, I literally take the first 3 sentences of the MLS description, and that's what I put on all my flyers. It takes the thought out of having to create brand new marketing. When we're talking about Facebook ads and social media comments, that's going to be entirely different. But when you're putting these in the house, doing just the first 3 sentences of the MLS listing is so easy, very easy. Like I said, underneath that, I do 3 photos of the house. As many of us know, when it comes to marketing, we have to include our DBA. So I put the KW logo bigger than, and I mean, if you have a team logo, you would have to put it underneath and slightly smaller, but it's important to have that. I put my headshot, my name, my phone number, my email, and my team address. Also, if anyone has any questions after this class, all of my information is right here on all of the flyers. So feel free to reach out. Yeah, no big deal at all. So now we're going to go ahead and get started and learn how to create something simply like this. All right, so let me start on a blank template. The first thing that we're going to want to do, again, is make this scalable and repeatable and not have to do it twice. So when adding in photos to a just listed, and we want to create it every single time, so we're trying to make our jobs as easy as possible, we're going to go right over here to where it says elements. And if you scroll down to in elements, you're going to get here to the grids option. And the grids option is basically like a photo frame, but without the photo in it. So what you'll do is you'll click on that, and then it's going to fill up the whole page. But don't worry, it's not going to stay like that. You can see here, this little bar at the end of the screen. If you pull that up, that's going to change the size of the photo that you want it to be. And then same here, you'll pull the frame down to roughly where you want the photo to go. So what will happen now is if I go here to uploads, and I will show you how to upload a photo in a second, and I drag the photo over here, it now just easily goes into that box. I'm not having to sit there and make sure that the sizing is perfect with the exact photo and whatnot. All I have to do is drop it in every time. And when I have a new listing, what am I going to do? Instead of deleting the whole photo, it just takes rid of the image, but it keeps the frame. So you're just having to reinsert something every time. It makes it very, very, very easy. Now, to upload a photo to your actual Canva, what you'll do, I'm assuming you receive your listing photos or from a photographer, right? A link. You know how to do it. But when you do your photography for listings or for commercial, for rentals and whatnot, and you pay for a photographer, or if you do them on your own, you want to email them to yourself, and then they'll download as a PNG or JPEG. There's a really important PNG or JPEG. It cannot be a PDF. It cannot be an SVG, I think is an option too. Don't worry about those. A PNG or JPEG. You'll download those and you'll put them on your desktop. I don't have, this is not my computer, so I can't do it. I'm really sorry. Sorry, everyone. But so you'll download the photo and then you'll put it on your desktop, and then you'll drag it from your desktop straight into Canva. You'll just drop it on the front of the screen, and then it will automatically upload into Canva. And then it'll stay here in your uploads file. Does that make sense? Zoom people, does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to assume that it does because I haven't heard anything. So yeah, that's how we go ahead and add photos into our Canva. So we know where we want the initial first photo of the house to go. So we're going to leave the photo in there. The next ones that we're going to go ahead and add, whoopsies, I don't have access to that anymore, is the 3 other photos of the house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, I'm going to hit grids, and I'm going to pick the photo frame. That's just a little box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it to, oops, I clicked it twice. I'm going to drag it up just above the bottom so I have enough room for the logo and my name and whatnot. And I'm going to do my best to make it about a third of the page worth. So I've got it down to the bottom of the page, and then I'm going to take the side corner and I'm going to drag it all the way over. I would say that maybe that is relatively a third of the page. Now, instead of me having to duplicate this again, all I'm going to do is hit copy. I'm going to double click or 2-finger click, copy and paste. Oops, I got to allow it really quick. Let me do that one more time. Oops. That must be something old. So I'm going to hit copy and paste. And now, without me having to do it multiple times in a row, it simply copies and pastes. One more time, copy and paste. And now I have 3 photos on the bottom of my screen for the 3 other photos of my listing. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of my listing photos, and I'm going to find what I think are the best that show the most amount of the house. So you're usually going to be picking from, again, living room, dining room, master bedroom, and pool, if there is a pool. Those are typically going to be your best photos that showcase the most of the home. And you're going to drag those to your desktop, and then you're going to re-upload them into Canva. So for this listing, I picked the pool, I picked the living room, and I picked the second bedroom. I think that's because the second bedroom looks prettier than the master. That is how you upload the photos. And again, to make this simple and repeatable, is all I have to do is click and delete. And that is how you can just keep doing this over and over again and simplify your listing process. Do I have any questions about how to do that yet on Zoom? Fantastic. Okay. So the next section that we're going to go through is adding in the text, because that's going to be the next big portion that comes to our sizing. So the first thing that we're going to try and find is that just listed. So we've essentially gone over the grids of the elements. Now we're going to move over to text. So you'll hit this little text box and you can see when you scroll down, you already have a ton of font combinations. But what's really important again is that some of these are a part of the pro version. They're not a part of the premium or freemium, I'm sorry. So make sure you guys are checking to make sure that they are not paid for, because we want to make this as cost effective for you as humanly possible. So tons of different options. I personally like to go with something a little bit more cursive and professional, fun for the just listed verbiage, or you could go with something that's a little bit more blocky and clean. It's whatever you prefer to do, but you can see you have tons and tons and tons of different options. If you get to the bottom of here and can't find anything that you don't like, you can simply search the type of font that you want. You don't have to know the exact name. This isn't Word and you have to know Times New Roman, whatever the specific name of it. You can just search up the type. So I'm going to say cursive. Oops. Why is it not working? Of course it's not. What I'm going to do, actually, I apologize. We're going to backtrack for a second here. Is I know that I want to add in at least a heading, which is going to be my biggest style of font. And I'm going to put it relatively where, oops, I want to see it. And then right here is where the actual text box section is going to open. Once you click on the text box, then you can search the type that you want. So again, cursive. I know I had to backtrack there. Does that make sense though? Okay, perfect. So then you have all of the actual different fonts that are considered a cursive font within Canva. You can start playing around with them, see which ones you like. I'm going to change the verbiage to just listed so I can see what I like and how the way it looks. And I'm going to have it hover over ever so slightly. And you can see here that there's a little space at the top and we don't need that much space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply click and drag the verbiage upwards, the text upwards, and then I'm going to bring the photo along right with it. And I've just created a ton of extra space for more content beneath it. So let's say I don't like this font. Let's say I actually like that one, right? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Or this one. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go with this one today. This is BD script. This is a nice legible cursive font that's also really important, and whatever you're picking has to be legible. Like you can tell that's it's just listed. But the problem is too, you probably can't see it because it's not bold. So this is where we get very similar to Word, is you can easily change the size of the font, the color of the font right here with the little A, and it even preloads the colors of the listing photos, which I think is pretty nice. So if you're trying to keep the color palette all of the same, it's all right here for you. And then you can simply bold the font. So I've just bolded this one. Sometimes you can italicize it. Obviously, it doesn't work for this font. You can change if you want it in the center of the text box, if you want it on the right, if you want it just straight or on the, or I'm sorry, that's the right or on the left. You can add bullet points. You can change right over here the letter spacing. So if you don't like how close the letters are, this line right here changes how far out they are. And I like that for when I'm trying to fill as much space as possible. So that way, like words aren't right on top of each other. And line spacing, if this was on two separate lines like this, shows us how far apart the actual words would be without us having to enter the key enter every time. So that's a pretty nice feature. Again, as long as you're trying to, if you're trying to fill up as much space as humanly possible. Under effects right here, and mind you, again, these are all in the freemium. You can add in a shadow to it if you'd like. You can add in a lift. You can make the letters hollow. That obviously won't work for our cursive. You can add it to neon. You can even make the text curved if you wanted to. So tons of different options for what you wanted your font to look like. And yeah, the animate is if you're doing a video, which we're not, and I'm not going to go over that today. Do I have any questions on adding in this type of font yet? Fantastic. I love to hear it. So now if we go back to our original, there we go. You can see we've added in the font, we've added in the 4 different photo types. Now we have to get into the actual like content of what the listing is, right? The fun stuff, the stuff that people actually care about besides the way that it looks. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add in these 3 little icons. I'm going to go back to this really quick. We're going to add in the bed, the bath, and the square footage. I'm going to show you how to pull these up. It's very easy. What you'll do is you'll go back to elements where we found this grid option, and you will select it. You'll just search it. It's like using what was called in high school clip art from Word, right? Yeah, it's like using clip art. So we want to search up bedrooms. And it's right here. Remember, you have to watch out for the pro version because we are utilizing the freemium, but right here is this bed. And again, very similar to the text, I can change the color of it. So let's say I want it to be the same color as whatever the grass is of this listing. So I can change it there. I can make it black still. I can even choose from like an entire color palette if you wanted to. If you have the specific color code, my team, we all have specific color codes for each logo that we utilize. So if you have a specific color code, you can do that as well. So tons of different options. For this example, I am just going to keep it black for simplicity and luxury. And then what I'm going to do, and what I'm doing now is I'm sizing it down. Obviously, I don't want to take up the entire front of the page. So we're going to bring it down just a touch. And now I'm going to drag it to where I want it to go, which is going to be relatively right there. And again, nothing is set in stone, everything you can move around. All right, so the next option that we need to find is the bathrooms. Again, make sure you're watching out for this pro version. I'm going to change my text here because I'm finding a lot of paid ones to bathtub. And there you go. I've just found a freemium version of exactly what I was looking for. So I'm going to click it. I'm going to drag it down the size. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it underneath the bed. And you see those little dotted lines on the side there? Gosh. That is how you can tell that it's perfectly in line with the object that's right next to it. I like things to be left side aligned, like you're writing on lined paper. I'm a little OCD like that. So, but you can do it however you like. If you want it to be center aligned, you simply just drag it over and there's that little dotted line that tells you that it's center aligned. For this example, again, I want things to be left aligned, but also the same size. So I'm going to take this top right corner and drag it in a little bit. And now you can see that, can you see that dotted line or is it too small? Okay, that dotted line that's dragging up from the bathtub to the bed on the right-hand side, that tells me that they're the same size because I know that's left aligned and now it's right aligned. Does that make sense to everyone on Zoom? Fantastic. All right, and so I'm going to zoom in actually a little bit as well because now I don't need it this far away. Now I'm going to drag this up a little bit because I want to make as much space as possible, and I'm going to drag the bathtub up a little bit, and we'll just leave it right there for right now. The last option is square footage. So this one was a little tricky because there's not really a good sign for square footage because I don't want feet, I don't want a basic square, and it had to have been freemium. So I tried to get as creative with it as possible, and I thought a tape measure. That measures square footage, right? So all I simply did was look up tape measure, and it will show up right there. And I think I chose, if I scroll down again, getting past all of these paid versions, you can see you have tons of different options around here as long as you just scroll down a little bit. Let me see if I can find which one I ended up picking. All of these are perfectly fine options. These just aren't the ones that I personally picked. I am having troubles finding the exact one that I use. So what I'm going to do is scroll back up and I'm going to pick. Does that keep happening? Again, you don't want it to be a paid version. I'm just going to pick this one, right? It serves its purpose. It relatively looks like a tape measurer. So what I'm going to do again is drag it to the size. I'm going to make sure that it is at least left aligned. And then I'm going to drag it to make sure that it is also right aligned as well. And then now I have my 3 icons. And what I can do is I can drag the bathtub up a little bit and I can make it to where they're perfectly in the middle of each other. So that way they're all 3 equally sized. And you can see because the 2 lines are showing up, this is kind of Canva's like weird way of telling you is that it is perfectly in the middle. Pretty nice tool there. So that is how do you utilize elements. And that's how you can find icons, you can find photos. There's so many different options that you can use in elements. Like it really is just like clip art or simply looking something up on the internet if you want to find an image for it. So like, don't be afraid to use this tool and look up whatever you could possibly need. Like, I don't know, what's an example of something that you would want to see on a piece of marketing? A restaurant. Awesome. Let's do our commercial. So I looked up restaurant, right? And so it has so many different options, obviously, like whatever you would want it to look like. You could virtually stage on Canva. Like I'm serious. You could make it look however you want. If you wanted to show people what the potential is, then you can find like a good photo of, look, this is what you could possibly have your restaurant look like one day. Obviously, this is a paid version. Most photos that you find like these ones are going to be in the paid version. It's the only annoying part. If you are using the freemium version, and it's one of the benefits of the paid version, is the photos. Yeah, I do use Unsplash. I actually pay for Shutterstock as well. I think Shutterstock's $10 a month. I like that one if I'm doing lifestyle photos because I can find photos of Fifth Ave, Naples, like those are all over all of my marketing materials. I do feel like Unsplash doesn't have as much content outside of the unpaid version, but you pay for it, right? No. Well, that's what these are. So these are all, yeah. Well, for anyone who is wondering, all of these photos, you're welcome to utilize in your marketing resources. You're allowed to use these for anything out there. So you don't have to worry about like non-disclosure or disclosures or like trademark reasons. These photos are free for you to use whenever you'd like. I also want to show you while we're on the elements section and before I move on, obviously we're looking here at all, but if you want to specify what exactly you're looking for, graphics is going to be more of your like icons category. Obviously photos is going to be the photos that you want, and videos. Again, I'm not touching on videos today, but they do have video options if you're doing social media posts. So that is elements and searching through elements and how to resize them and change the color and whatnot. Does anyone have any questions on elements on Zoom? No. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we have to add the text, right? So I'm going to go back to the version that I've already created. We have to add the 4 bedrooms, the 3 bath, the 200 square feet, and the offered price option. So I'm going to go back to our original creation, and I can see here just by looking at it that I'm not going to have enough room at the top to add in my offered at price. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my bathtub down just a touch, as well as my bed, which is now in the center of the screen as well, which I kind of like. So now I know that I have enough room right on top. I'm going to see if this will, take me down just a little bit. So again, I want to find a text that's going to complement the simplicity of the just listed. Something that's going to be pretty thin. I can see I've cut off the end of the word. There we go. So I'm going to just pick this first one where it says salad, and you can see here that it's already preloaded in some texts that are pretty complementary to each other. I like this bottom one. I think, yeah, I've always been a big fan of the churchy font. I've used it a lot, and I think it's really simple and clean. But I don't want the salad. So all I'm going to simply do is hover over the word salad and hit delete, and then it's going to disappear. Very simple. And now I will change what the verbiage is. So I'm going to 4 bedroom, right? And then I'm just going to repeat this over and over again. And if you remember how I created the different squares down here, I'm going to hit copy and paste. and then I'm going to drag it. So again, it's in line with the verbiage that's above it, and it's as well as centered as the bathtub icon. It's going to be the most visually pleasing with the eye. So 3 bathroom. And then lastly, oh, I keep doing that. Copy, paste. And I'm going to change this to, there we go, 2,000 square feet. And then again, I want to add in the offered price. So I'm going to copy and paste this because I'm going to use the same font, but I obviously want it to stand out as well. So I'm going to put it above the bed, and I'm going to drag out the text box to the same size as the rest of them. And I'm going to put in the offered price. And I'm just going to say 500. It's whatever your offered price actually is. But I don't want this font to stay hidden amongst all of the other content that's in there. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to click the text box, and then I'm going to size up the text box, the actual font itself. And then I'm going to drag out the side, and that way it brings it all back to one straight line. Does that make sense on how to size up the text box? You can also do that by dragging the corner of the text box, and it does the same thing. Pretty easy. Again, I want it to be centered above the information that I've already added. So I'm going to wait until that center line. I don't think it's going to pop up today. It pops up right there, but that's just not going to work for me. So I'm going to bring it a little farther over and down an inch. And that's how I want it to look. So now I've included the offer price, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and the square footage, arguably the most important information of the listing. Do I have any questions on how to do that so far? Fantastic. Okay. Wait for that. Yeah. So we've added this information. Now we're going to go ahead and add in the address and the description, very similar to what we've been doing. I'm going to hit copy and paste. I like the fact that the address is going to be the same size as the offered price because it shows that they're equal importance. Main Street. I can't type with this microphone in my hand, so I apologize. Whatever. So you'll go ahead and add in the address. Let me drag this over. There we go. Don't want them right next to each other, so I'm going to go ahead and put it right there. And then we're also going to add in the description. So again, I'm just going to copy and paste the text box. Oops. Copy and paste. Oh my goodness. Copy, paste. I'm going to put it where I want it. I like the fact, again, that it's in line with everything else that I've already added. I'm going to drag the text box as far over as I want it to. And normally what you would do is you would go to the MLS and you would copy and paste your rough first 3 sentences. But here I'm not going to pull the MLS because this is an old listing of ours. I don't want to spend the next 20 minutes trying to find it. So I'm just going to go to our old thing that I've already created and copy and paste it and put it right here. And paste. There we go. So obviously there is just not quite enough room for my entire description to go into this area. So I'm going to have to cut out some content. For this example, I'm just going to remove the last sentence to make it easier on us and not spend 1,000 hours working out how to write an MLS description. But normally you would want to add in the highlights of the house, something that you didn't list in these 3 boxes, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, or the square footage. We didn't list that there was a luxury pool, although you can see it in this photo that's down here. We didn't list that there was a spa or that there was a lounging area or the niceness of the landscapes. All of those things that you didn't put here would have to go in your description. So if you were in a home with acreage and you didn't list it on the side here underneath the offering price, then I would put the acreage in there. If it's in a HOA community, 100% put the HOA name. If it's a new build, make sure you list that it's new build, whatnot. Does that make sense? Any questions, anyone online? Fantastic. So we have gotten to this far, which is great. I love that for us. One thing that we have to add in that we didn't over here is a separation. So on this copy right here, like in the center, it all just kind of flows into one. There's nothing that really tells me as a viewer or as someone who's taking in this information that there's a difference in what I'm looking at. So what I personally like to do is add in a divider. And in this example, all it is a line. So we're going to go back over to here to elements, and where you see lines and shapes, simply it's a line. So you'll go ahead and click on it. Oops, two of them appeared, and it'll always show horizontally in the middle of the page. Very easy. You'll just take the little rotate button and you'll rotate it up to 90 degrees. Sorry, I'm not used to this computer, so it's hard for me. And then you'll drag it to exactly where you want it to go. And just like with anything else in Canva, you can change the size of it. You can change the direction of it. If you don't want it to go 90 degrees, if you want it to go 94 or 89, totally up to you. And what's off? The lines? Yeah. I know, it's slightly off right now, but that's like really because I'm so not used to this computer. I am very much an Apple person. So using anything outside of it is just blowing my mind right now. Just like with anything else that we've been able to do here, let me go back. You can change the color of the line. You can also change the style of it. So if you wanted it to be whatever, I don't know what the actual word for that is, or if you wanted it to be dotted, you can change that. I personally am a fan of the straight one line. You can change the thickness. That's what weight is called. So if you want it to be a little bit on the thicker end, or if you wanted it to be nice and skinny, totally up to you. For this one, I'm going to leave it at 5. And then the rounded endpoints, meaning if you want the end of the line to be round or if you wanted it to be straight, it's totally up to you. You have complete control over everything that you do in Canva. But now you can see that we've created some sort of separation in between these two different groups of content. Both of them are equally as important, but we didn't want them to merge together. So we've made it easier for the viewer to see what the heck is going on. Any questions on the line or the elements so far, or anything so far? Zoom? Awesome. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to add in the most important information that is not about the listing, and that's about who we are, which is the most important thing, I would say. So we want people to call us at the end of the day. The first thing that we all know that we have to do is add in the DBA, which is the KW Naples logo. If you don't have it and you need it, please email me. It is required. Broker Jeff will not be happy if you're not putting our DBA logo on all of our marketing. So if you do need this, I have it in all black. I have it in black and silver. I have the black or the red and silver. I have tons of different acceptable variations of it. I also have just the plain Keller Williams logo if you want that one, but you have to have the DBA at least on all of your marketing. So let me know. And just like we uploaded the listings, the listing photos into Canva, you will find the logo. If I've emailed it to you, then you will take it and you will drag it to your desktop and upload it, drop it into Canva. Very simple. If you already have it, then search through your files and upload it that way. Then, again, you'll just click on it. I personally like to put it in this corner right down here. And I'm going to shrink it just a little bit. And I'm going to put it right there. And that's how I want the logo. Now, this is probably a good one for you, Steve. Stu, I don't know why I said Steve. It's because I have a client's name is Steve, and I was just thinking about him. I'm really sorry. And really, for anyone who's interested in the difference between premium and the premium version, what I really like about the premium is I can erase the background of images. So the KW logo, this one specifically, comes with a white background. Yeah, but you can do it for free, or you could do it in here, so you don't have to like upload and download it all the time. That's what I really like about it. So, just so you know. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good thing this is being recorded. At some point, I will do a premium version of this class. So. But yeah, so it's really important that you go ahead and add in your logo or the logo. And I will also note, obviously, I've mentioned before, I'm part of a team, so we do have our own logo. Our logo has to be smaller than the DBA's. has to be smaller, and I believe also underneath. Or just definitely has to be smaller. No, you don't have to have the office phone number. You just have to have the KW Naples logo bigger than your own for anyone who's on the team here. I know John. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, KW Naples has to be bigger than anything. John, I know you're a part of John McLeod's team. So if you're including the KW or the KC network logo, the KW Naples has to be bigger than your team's logo. All right. And then I definitely want to add in my beautiful headshot that I paid a lot of money for, and everyone has paid a lot of money for their headshots. So definitely want to include that. But what if I update it? And I don't want to be messing around with the logo. Or what if it's John's listing, but then you get another one right after that, and you want to use the same flyer, but you don't want to be adding in the different photos or deleting and blah, blah, blah every time. We're going to do exactly what we did for the photos of the listing. We're going to go over to here to elements, and we're going to pick a frame. Personally, I'm a big fan of the circle frames for headshots. Some people like the square. There's funky ones. There's tons of different options that you can use in here. There's a triangle if you wanted it. It's totally up to you. But for headshots, personally, I am a big fan of the circle. So again, we're just going to simply click on that, and I'm going to size it down, and I'm going to drag it next to the KW Naples logo. I'm going to zoom in here as well. So I'm going to go a little bit smaller here, and I'm going to make sure it's right next to the KW Naples and make sure it's nice and centered. Again, I've uploaded my logo or my headshot. So I'm going to click and drag it right there. But you can see here, this is a fun little fact that not a lot of people know about Canva, is the top of my head's cut off. Like, I don't want the top of my head cut off. I'd rather it not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on my photo, and then you can see the whole thing appears. And then I'm going to drag my face down, and now my entire head is within the photo. And that's that. It's that easy. Obviously, I have a white background for my photo, so it looks like my chest is round, but that's okay. So it's just the only headshot that I use personally. But yeah, so that's how you'll go ahead and add in your headshot. And again, if you're on a team and you want to change the photo for the different agent, or if you're an agent and have multiple photos, all you simply can do is delete it and upload the right person's photo. Because again, we're trying to make things scalable and easy and repeatable. I'm going to hit undo because I don't want to go through that again. So I'm going to hit undo. And then the last bit of information is we're going to add in our contact info. So again, we want to go to text. I believe for this one, I used my name in the same font that I used this in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go up to the just listed. I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to drag it down. My name is really long, so I'm going to have to size it down a little bit. And I'm going to put it right there. Then I'm going to type my name. There we go. So it's still a little bit big. I told you I have the world's longest name. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit and drag it over. And now it all fits on one line. Oops, I don't want to add a comment. Yeah, that is how you do that. And then again, we want to add at least phone number, email, and website. So your KW website, if you have a team specific website, if you have Linktree, you can do that as well. It is whatever website you want to lead capture as many people as possible. So I'm going to copy and paste this font because I want it to remain the same. And then I'm going to go ahead and type in all of my email. Hold on. The computer's going to die, and I really don't want this spot to end right when I'm about to finish anyway. Okay. I think we, yeah, we got it. Shocking. Okay. So I'll type in my email because I don't want to type out the whole thing today. And then we'll go ahead and drag it over because we want the whole thing to show. And then I'll add in my phone number and my website as well. And then we have a completed just listed flyer that we can very easily repeat, duplicate, and it's scalable because it's all in there already and it's already created. Once you are finished, what you can do is go to the top of the screen here and you can name each one of your projects. So I'm going to title this just listed template. Because again, we're going to be reusing it over and over again. I'm going to go back to my home page of Canva. I'm going to refresh the page because then it's going to appear on my workshop area. Give it one moment to load. So it's right here. I'm going to hit these 3 little dots and I'm going to say move to folder. And if I haven't created a folder for my templates, all I'm going to do is hit create new and I'm going to call it templates. Add to folder. And now each time that you log into your Canva, if you go, I don't think it's actually, I think it's on. Hold on one second. Sorry, I clicked the wrong page. Nope, I'm going to go home. If you go to projects, yep, and then you can go to folders. Oh, this is from when I worked at my old job. I don't work here anymore, clearly. So then you can find all of your templates that you've created right there. So there's no having, like, I know on my team Canva, I have pages and pages and pages of things that I've created, and it can be a pain in the butt to find the things that I want to. So I put everything in template folders and I title them what they have to be titled. So for my ops people, if you're running an event and let's say like my team, we do a Christmas event every year and I want the same things to look the same every time, then I just would create a specific folder for, like, it's called our Swifty holiday event, our Swifty photo shoot. I'd create a folder that's called Swifty photo shoot and I'd put the same marketing materials in it every time. So I'm just having to repeat and recreate it or like copy it and recreate it or edit it rather than doing it all over again. So yeah. That's how you use the basics of Canva. Does anyone have any questions on Zoom in person? All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it. And that's it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And like I said, reach out to me if you guys have any questions. I will have Patricia. Well, I'm on the team Facebook. I'm on the KW Naples Facebook page. So you guys can message me there too, or you can access my email and whatnot. So that's it. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.